So in today's video, I'm talking about foot care and specifically about how not to get blisters. When you're doing ultramarathons, I mean the name says it all, ultramarathon. So you're going to be walking or running, depending on what type of event you're doing. You're going to be on your feet for more than 26 miles. And obviously if you're doing 85 miles, for instance, like in the parish walk, the last thing you need is to get blisters early on in the walk. Even if you're halfway round and you get blisters, 42 miles, you've still got another 42 miles to go. Today I'm going to share my 7 tips for how you can prevent having blisters in your races as well. So tip number 1 is your footwear. Make sure you have the right footwear that's the right size for you. You need to be looking at least half a size bigger than what you normally wear in your training shoes. Because when you're doing the big distances, your feet are going to swell. So tip number 2 is still sticking with the shoes, but what I have is I have elastic laces. So if I can show you that. Elastic laces. So what they do, they simply expand as my foot swells. There's no question, I can take them on and off dead easy. I don't have to worry about having tied the laces and them coming undone, or conversely, having tied the laces so secure that they don't come undone, and then find that when my feet swell, they get constrained and they rub and they become tight and uncomfortable. So tip number 3, nail clippers and nail file. It's important to make sure that your nails are cut back, not too much. You don't want them to be sore from being filed back too much, but you also don't want them to be too long. You don't want to run the risk of them snagging on your socks. So tip number 4 is quite simply not to wet your feet before the race. If you wet your feet, they're going to be soft and more prone to blisters, in my experience. So what I do is I have a full shower the night before, and then on the day of the race I freshen up in the morning, but I don't put my feet in the shower. Tip number 5 is going to deal with preventing the aspect of moisture on your feet, like following on from the not wetting them in the morning from having the showers. When you're doing the race, if it's raining, obviously the water's going to soak through your shoes because you're out so long, and through your socks, so your feet are going to get wet. This is brilliant. I slather it on, make sure the whole foot is covered, in between the toes, over the toes, on the heel, everywhere. I make sure it's well rubbed in. Tip 6, toe socks, specifically Injinji toe socks. These are just brilliant. They separate out your toes like a glove, so they're gloves for your feet. And what they do is they help prevent the rubbing of the toes together. So with the pseudo creme, tip number 5, and then the Injinji toe socks on top, just works a treat. Tip number 7, a lot of people talk about twin skin socks so that they can prevent friction and the rubbing of the feet in the socks. Well, I have the Injinjis, that's one layer, and then I just have a random single skin second pair, so they're separate. I have used the twin skins that are all in one sock, but because I have the Injinji with the separate toes, I use a separate single skin, and for me that works much better than the normal twin skin socks that you can buy in the shops. So there we go, there's my 7 tips to prevent getting blisters in your next ultra marathon event.